we do not make money the motivation for what we do. We're going to volunteer our time, but we're not going to do it for the purpose of getting anything in return.
When you do something nice for somebody, you get a good feeling inside. And I think that the world that we live in today, people have sort of lost that.
Good day. Welcome to Infinity Safety Awareness, our community podcast. We always bring people from different sets. They have been volunteer, they have been involved in diversity, inclusion, they have been involved in mental health. But before we go ahead, we would like to acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 in Edmonton, and is a homeland of Métis Nation of Alberta Region 4. We acknowledge this land has the national territory of many First Nations such as Cree, Stoney, and so on. Thank you for all your hard work and what you have taught and what you are teaching. So today we have Leo and Jade with us. They have been volunteering. So basically their whole life is dedicated to the community service and volunteering. They have traveled across the world. So in the whole process, when they were volunteering, they met their soul. They met, they got in love, and they got married. So when we say volunteer, just not only the community work, you can meet your soulmate also. Welcome, Leo. Welcome, Jade.
Thanks, Sunny. Thanks for having us.
So, Leo, as we were talking before, and thank you for all your work, community work, and as well as the volunteer work. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, I started my career at a pretty young age. I worked in commercial radio, and I worked in advertising. For anybody that's worked in advertising, you probably know it's not a very fulfilling job. It's very much about, well, to put it bluntly, it's kind of about manipulating people in order to get them to buy things. Most of the time, those things are not things that they really need. So I was excited to do the job at first. I felt like, yeah, this is my career path, but then it sort of became a 9-to-5 rat race, and I didn't feel fulfilled, and I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life. So I was young at the time. I was 21. I decided that I would get rid of everything I had, basically, and nothing more than a backpack. That's all I had. And I went to Australia, and I started traveling around Australia. And it was in Australia that I got involved with a volunteer organization, people who made it their life mission to just go out and help people for the sake of helping people. And their whole philosophy was doing good to others and expecting nothing in return. And it sounds kind of idealistic and like, oh, that would never work. But it does work. It does work on a small scale. And it could work on a larger scale. But in order for it to work, everyone has to have the same motivation. And the idea is that our motivation is not to make money, but rather to just make the world a better place through serving each other for free.
No, Leo, let me correct and let me say something. I'm not saying correct. Let reinstate or rephrase it. You are still young. I'm also young. Young is not with the age factor, is with the mindset. So don't say when you were young, you are still young. Not you only, we all young by heart. So age is not a factor. So Jade, my next question, Leo did talk about, rat race and materialistic world where he was working. It's easy to say, leave everything when we are surrounded by the family pressure, peer pressure, community, society, what you're wearing, what you're doing. The first thing they ask you, meet someone, right? Or the family members also, what you're doing, what your job is. How did you pass all those things? How did you pass? Like, what was a struggle?
Oh, well, I just shared with them basically just to give a bit about my backstory. I was in college at the time, and I was studying environmental science because I wanted to stop the destruction of our planet. And then in halfway through my degree, I realized that we already have all of the information that we need to make the world a better place. We've done it, but why aren't we changing? And then it occurred to me that the real problem is greed. And that's when I decided to drop out of college and start trying to work for love instead of pursuing, basically spending my life doing what's already been done. So that's when I decided to drop out of college and start working, just trying to help people love each other. That's when I got interested in this volunteer lifestyle. And when I told my parents, basically, I didn't tell my family until I actually did it, because I knew they wouldn't agree. So I didn't really consult with others around me. I knew what I wanted to do, and then I just went and did it. And then I kind of just let the chips fall as they may, because I knew that my friends and family might not be supportive of that choice. And in the end, it ended up working out because I did what I felt was right, without letting others around me peer pressure me into doing what they wanted me to do. I did what I felt, in my heart needed to be done. And that's how I did it.
So I really appreciate, like to all the viewers, I know Leo and Jade and the whole team from last couple of years, 3 or 4 years now, and I am not happy personally. They are going to Mexico from Canada, and they will be doing continuous work, the community work there also. So they have been volunteering with us and the other different organizations and helping. Is a dedication, it shows us like, everything is possible when the mindset is there. But Leo, it's not easy, right? When you are getting judged by the family, you get the pressure and starting a journey, like as you said, you went to school, you were raised by the family, you have brother, sister. We are surrounded by the brand names. We are surrounded by our needs, surrounded by materialistic, what I have, what I'm going to do, what I need. It also sometimes is a positive motivation too, because I want to raise myself educationally, spiritually. So how did that journey started, leaving everything? How did it came to your mind?
Yeah, I think it came to my mind, like I said, through the dissatisfaction I had with my career. But it was more than that. It was also realizing that the world is largely motivated by money and by materialism. And, there's an old saying that, money can't buy you happiness. And it's a shame that has become such a platitude, but it really is true. It cannot buy you happiness. And, even if you look at statistically, people who have a lot more money, people who win the lottery, for example, a lot of them are depressed. A lot of them have even committed suicide because, and I think the reason why they've done that is because they realized after they won all the money, A, they weren't happy, but B, they realized that all of their friends and family, the people that they thought loved them, the relationship changed. It was all about, I want your money now, hey, we're friends, give me your money, and that to me was a depressing realization that the world is just largely motivated by money. Money makes the world go round, right? So I decided, well, if I don't want to live in such a world, then I need to be the change I want to see in the world. And that's why I made the decision to stop making money a motivation for what I do. I quit my paid job, and that was 12 years ago. And I haven't had a paid job since.
Leo and Jade, I have a question for you. You did bring the word money. Money does not buy happiness, but it buy the source for happiness, right? It's a balance. Like without money also we cannot do the charity work, we cannot do the volunteer work. You need money, but how to keep a balance where money is not running your life, but you need a money to run your life. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like a balance. How do you keep a balance? Any of you can answer.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Like, on the balance thing, it's it's like you said, it's a bit of a tricky thing, because as much as our idealistic world will be one where we don't even need money. I know that you need help, for example, with let's say building a house, right? And so I come to you and I help you build that house. Somebody else, they're in the business of creating lumber, chopping up the trees and making it all. So they come in and they say, hey, here's the lumber for this. Somebody else says they're a plumber. They come in and they say, hey, like, here are the pipes and here's the water, and they connect everything. You could live in a world where everyone just does all of the things that they do now, but they just don't do it for money. So you can still have plumbers, you can still have carpenters, you can still have bakers, you can still have, social workers, psychiatrists, all doctors, all these professions. The ability to do the job is still there, but you don't necessarily have to, like, without money, the ability to do the job is still there. Now, to answer your question, we still live in a world where 99% of the people are only going to do those jobs for money. The carpenter is not going to come and help you build a house for free. The plumber is not going to do the job for free either. The doctor, okay, yeah, in Canada, you get free healthcare, but he still gets paid. If he's not getting paid, he's not going to do that job anymore. So that's where the balance kind of has to come in, and we have to accept that this is the world we live in, and so we use money in order to, interact with what we call the system. But we do not make money the motivation for what we do. In other words, we're going to volunteer with you, with Infinity Safety Awareness. We're going to volunteer our time at other organizations. We're going to go out and talk to people and help them in practical and even spiritual ways, but we're not going to do it for the purpose of getting anything in return. If anyone chooses to give us something in return, kind of like what you do with Infinity Safety Awareness, we get to, take food that you bring to us. We're very thankful for that. It really helps us a lot, and it helps us to keep living the way that we're living. But even if we were not getting food from you, we would still help you. That is the motivation. That is the philosophy behind this.
So, Jade and Leo, like, I know you have a team and the team is getting split. You are moving to Mexico, all the best wishes. And then other team is moving to BC, where they will be helping there too. And what I heard, you guys are planning to live on the Hastings Street East and then walk with the tent city and everything. How do you get motivation to do that and keeping your safety in mind?
Yeah, motivation, just to address the first part, motivation. We go off of intrinsic rewards. So when you do something nice for somebody, you get a good feeling inside. And I think that maybe the world that we live in today, people have sort of lost that good feeling that you get from doing good to others, and not bragging about it either, but just kind of secretly doing it because it needs to be done. And when we just do that freely, and just because it's the right thing to do, then, we have a clear conscience, we have a lot of peace and fulfillment that comes from that. And so even though, people won't necessarily thank us for the work we do, that's really not why we do it. It's just because, it feels good to help people and know that, we're making the world a better place. And also we're, like Leo said, being the change that we want to see in the world. I
really hats off to you guys. I wish I could do that. I have a courage or guts to leave everything and become a full-time volunteer or help. I'm still, I do it on a weekend basis or the other spare time, but doing it full time, I don't think so. And it's not easy too, right? To to dedicate your life to the volunteer and the community sport. But when we talk about, like when you go in the community, because we are talking about the diversity inclusion, right? You see different sets, different theologies, different mindset. Um, so how you can bring, and we call it a kind of Canadian culture, right? Where everyone is appreciated, everyone can do what they need. So what you think as a volunteer or community worker, we can bring or do to bring the community together, where we have veterans are there, LGBT community is there, different disabilities are there, race, religion, body type, all taboos are there. How we can bring together? What your experience has been?
Yeah, I think this is actually a really interesting topic to me because it very much fits in with this whole philosophy, the idea of people helping each other purely for the sake of the intrinsic rewards, helping one another because it's the right thing to do and because it feels good. I believe that if the whole world made that their motivation, a lot of these other issues, for example, hatred for homosexuals, or fear of homosexuals, homophobia, I should say, differences between religions, Muslims and Christians and Jews, and all of these different like social classes and the left versus the right, conservative versus liberal, all of these things would actually just kind of melt away by the wayside, because people would be united in a common vision that has the ability to change the world for the better. Everyone wants to live in this world that we've been kind of describing. I think deep down everybody would like to live in such a world, but the only thing that stops them from doing it is the fear that it wouldn't work. And that's the scariest part about making this decision to give up everything, to stop working for money, and to make our motivation just to help other people, even if it meant we starve to death, Although I can tell you I've been doing this for 12 years and I haven't starved to death yet. And I've never, not had a roof over my head. I've always had plenty of clothing. All of my basic needs are met. I'm fine, and I'm actually happier because I'm not stuck in the 9 to 5 thing. So I think everyone would love that. What a great, what good news is that? Like, wow, we can actually live this way and be happy and have the time to pursue our interests and our hobbies, and experience these intrinsic rewards. And I think that if we all did that, a lot of the fear, not just of the fear of not having an economy, but the fear of people who are different from us also would melt away, because we would no longer see those people as a threat to the way that we live, because we would all be dedicated to the same way of life.
Jade, I have a question for you, right? Like when we talk about the materialistic the world, like we are so surrounded by brand names, makeup, perfumes, accessories, and sometimes we spend too much, right? How do you give what message, or how do you will say to the young generation or any generation, no age gap, no sex, male, female, all age groups, how to balance it? Because, like we get judged what I'm wearing, what, how I'm dressed, what I'm doing. What message, how you suggest, because you have left, you totally come on the different side of pendulum, like where you're not using all this and you're not affected, but then people are affected, right? How do you balance it?
Yeah, well, I think that the advertising companies and just advertising in general and society around us puts a lot of pressure to maintain a certain image. And we spend money to try to create that image of ourselves. And we like to call that the social conscience. Like are often motivated to do things because of the fear of what other people think. And we let that fear control us. But we don't have to. And, like all of the clothes that I wear, they're secondhand, they're given to me. And I only keep a week's worth of clothes, so I don't have too many. I used to have loads of clothes. It was like a big problem for me and stressed me out trying to pick something to wear every day, but don't have that problem now. And basically, I think that really, if I were going to give advice to somebody who's trying to, not be so materialistic, it would be to cut down on what the things that you have, keep about a week's worth, and don't buy new clothes. There's so many clothes in the world. It's insane. Like, we don't need to buy more new clothes. They're filling up the landfills. They're filling up developing countries. Us in the West, we buy clothes, we throw them away after single use, and then they get shipped over to countries like Kenya and other third world countries, and they just pile up in mountains. So there's no need to buy new clothes. And we already have so much secondhand stuff. And when you start seeing that we have, sorry, I'm kind of rambling here. Let me just get my thoughts together.
Leo, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say this idea of that Jade's describing about, for example, keeping only a week's worth of clothes. It's not a new concept. People refer to it as minimalism. There's a documentary you can watch on Netflix. I think it's just called Minimalism or something like that. If you go on Netflix and search minimalism, it's there, and it's about, two guys who, one guy, his mom died. And when he went to her house to get her affairs in order, he recognized that she was a hoarder. She had all this stuff. What do you do with all this stuff? And he realized for himself that having all this stuff made him really unhappy. And that started a little bit of a movement called the minimalist movement, where people realize that if I have less stuff, I actually feel happier. And that's something that we very much believe in. But I think even sometimes we would take that to a little bit more of an extreme, where there are times where we just get rid of everything, pretty much, except for maybe a backpack with a few clothing items and, maybe, your phone in your pocket, and that's kind of it,
We're about to do that now, actually.
And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Yeah, we're when we're going to Mexico, we're not going to hire a moving company to ship the furniture we have here and everything down to Mexico. We're just going to, give away and or sell all of the stuff that is in our home right now, and have a backpack on our backs and go to the next location, and then just see how it works out. Restart, exactly. And that's our pattern. We keep doing that. If we're in one place for too long and we're accumulating stuff, and it's so easy to accumulate stuff, like it's actually quite frightening how easy it is.
Ask me.
Right. Like your garage. I've seen your garage, and it's like you don't even make a conscious effort to do it. And that just goes to show how much stuff there is in the world. People go out to like a furniture store and they buy a new sofa, which they get on financing. So they go into debt to get this new sofa. And yet if you go on Kijiji, you will find, pages of people who are trying to get rid of their sofas to the point they'll give it to you for free and they'll even deliver it to you,
Leo, as we are running out the time, I have a last question to ask, appreciating what you do and everything, backpack. Like, what message, any of you or both of you, if you could please, balancing, like we always say, fit for work, fit for, balance between family and work, look after yourself also, all those things, right? Looking after yourself, looking after your family, looking after your work, paying the bills, society, and fitting a volunteer work, why it is so important and how you can do it.
I think it's important because, like Jade was talking about, there is this intrinsic reward. Over time, I think society is getting less and less happy. We're becoming more and more depressed. people are on all kinds of medication now to help with their depression, ADHD, ADD, all of these mental health issues. And I believe that the source of many of these mental health issues.
Sorry to interrupt, Leo.
Yeah.
So you are saying with the volunteerism, we not only doing a waste management, but it also helps the mental health?
Exactly. Because when you have a lot of stuff, the more stuff you have, the more concerned you become about that stuff. You go into debt for stuff. You need insurance for stuff. The stuff, as you get into getting more of it, suddenly you realize that people around you have better stuff. And so then you need to make more money or go into more debt in order to have better stuff. You see it happen all the time with the iPhone. When the new iPhone comes out, go to any Apple store, you're going to be in line for an hour just waiting to get in to buy it. Why is it like that? The phone you have now is perfectly fine. Even if you have like an iPhone 8, which I think is like, 7 years old or something like that, why do you need a new phone? The more stuff you have, the more you go in line with this materialism way of life, the more stressed out you become. And I think that has a ripple effect in terms of leading to depression, anxiety, these kind of things. So I would say that's the what was it? You had a two-part question. What was the benefit? What was how do you get into it? Yes. I think the way to get into it is, okay, let's say, for example, you're in a situation right now, you work 9 to 5, you've heard this podcast and you're thinking, that sounds really good. I'd like to get into that. But, how do I just get rid of everything right away? Maybe if you're not quite at that stage yet, but you would like to move towards that, just start by looking for an opportunity to do something on the weekend. Sunny has Infinity Safety Awareness free food handout every Sunday at 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. You can come down to DKE Fraternity, 87th Avenue and 110th Street, near the University of Alberta. There's free food there. If you want to come down and help out, volunteer. It's only half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, but it leaves you feeling really good at the end of it. That's just a very small thing that you can do. There are other organizations, Hope Mission, Mustard Seed, Boyle Street Mission, these places. I'm sure if you walk into any of them and say, I would like to volunteer my time to help you, I'm sure they'd be able to find something for you to do. And if they can't, then you even have the ability to just go out and talk to people about these resources. If you see a homeless person on the street, are you aware that there's the Boyle Street Mission? They can give you food at this time to this time. Or maybe even Canada Blood Services. Let's say, I know sometimes they have a volunteer there who helps to keep the snacks, provided on the table. That's just a volunteer job.
Or just giving your time to just donate blood.
Yeah, you can even donate blood. That's a very small volunteer thing that will actually save many lives. And Canada Blood Services, they are, I think they're at an all-time low for donors.
Since before the pandemic.
Pandemic, they need 10,000 new donors. So, it's like, this is the little areas where you can really make a huge difference in the lives of others. And as you start doing it, maybe you'll become addicted, like what happened with us. We became hooked on it to the point where we said, we don't even want to spend our time anymore working in a 9 to 5. We don't want to do the job anymore. We want this to be our job. And it can be done. You can do it. We are living examples, living proof that you can do this. But first, you have to let go of that desire or that fear of not having material things.
Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Leo. I really appreciate your time. And I really hats off to you, what you guys are doing, dedicating your life for the community service, volunteerism, and moving not only from country to country, community to community, and spreading the love and the hope. If we don't have people like you, this has not been possible to bringing the happiness to the community. As Leo and Jade said, it's volunteerism and the community work, when you do it, is not only helps you, it also do the waste management, it helps the environment, it creates a hope, and it also helps you to bring your stress down. It helps your mental health. You're watching our safety podcast through Infinity Safety Awareness. Thank you. Keep watching. Please subscribe. Please like our channels. If you have any thought, please send us an email. Thank you. Have a safe day.
Bye.